Welcome back to Preps Today with John Millea. This happens to be our 300th episode. 300, John.
Wasn't there a movie by that name, 300, about a bunch of people who were vastly outnumbered and they all died? So I don't know if that's what's happening here on our 300th episode, but yeah, 300. Go figure. When we started this thing,
let's offer a different context for 300.
okay.
We're not outnumbered. I don't think we're going to die. We have been joined by a third. So
Yes.
the number 3 is in order. And hey, John, your show. I'll let you introduce our guest.
Yeah, we're joined by Chad Christianson, the head football coach, the athletic director, a math teacher, and he does a lot more than that at Hancock High School. Anybody who reads John's journal knows I was there last week to see the Owls' first home football game in 2 years. This is 9-player football. Their field was absolutely prone to flooding. Chad will agree with that. Last year they had no home games. And it's a show place now. So, Chad, welcome to the show. I know it's homecoming week in Hancock. How are you doing?
Well, first off, thanks, guys, for having me on. It's an honor, especially to be on show number 300 here. So, yeah, I mean, we had, like you said, our first game at home last week, which is, truly a homecoming game of sorts. But with that being just the second week of school, we usually try to push homecoming week itself back. So this week's homecoming week, and the kids are in prime form all over the place. So it's been a busy one, but a fun one, that's for sure.
And I know in a K through 12 school like you have, everybody's involved in this, right? The little kids are excited, I'm sure.
That's exactly it. This year I actually got where I'm teaching a extra recess, they're calling it, Phy-Ed class with the first graders. So I get to hang out with them for 30 minutes each day, and they're just amped, and they started calling me coach now and stuff. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, no, it's been a great week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wrote what turned out to be a pretty lengthy, almost a magazine story about Hancock, 2,300 some words. But there was just so much good stuff. I went there knowing this is the first home game in 2 years. I knew about the new field. You had told me about a couple special freshmen on your team, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I've been doing this work for 50 years, and this was just one of the most cool things I've ever seen. I drove 6 hours to get there and get home afterwards. Absolutely well worth it. And to me, everything goes back to last year, your first game last year in Morris at Big Cat Stadium at Minnesota Morris. That's where we met. And you kind of told me the story. I was impressed by what I saw. I was impressed by you, Chad. But what happened on Friday night for this return to the home field was really something. Let's start with Dad's Night. I wrote about that. Tell people what Dad's Night is in Hancock.
Well, for football, you get 4 home games, and one's always homecoming. We throw a tackle cancer game in there. And then usually, schools will either do a parents' night or a senior night or something like that. But, I've stole it from another coach in the area when he was the head coach and stuff. We changed our parents' night into a mom's night and a dad's night. And you were able to, like you said, be here for our dad's night portion of it. What we end up doing is we bring the dads in early, about 4:45 for a 7 o'clock game. And we bring them into the classroom and we start showing them basically our scouting report that we've shared with the kids all week. Show them, hey, when they line up in this formation, this is the play they like to run. We're hoping if they line up in this, our kids are ready for it. We think we can get a pick 6 on it because we haven't seen anything else on film that they do here. Or offensively, here's where their defensive alignment goes. And we think we can pick up chunk yardage in these different areas. And it's kind of fun. You get out to the field sometimes and you'll see the dads remember us talking about it and they'll go, hey, this is that formation. Hey, start watching. They'll start picking it apart. So, they really get into it. Once we finish up the classroom side of it, we'll take the dads down into the locker room for our pregame. And one thing that we do with them is once we get into the locker room, we tell the players, we want you dressed with your bottoms. Get your undershirts on or whatever else, but let's let the dads help get the uniforms on and the shoulder pads on and stuff like that. And jerseys aren't like when I played. They're skin tight nowadays. And I mean, you've got to almost be a gymnast to get those things on and around and whatever else it might be. So the dads struggle a little bit, but you bring them in there and then, we we'd start with kind of our senior dads and our captains, if there's anything they want to say. And um, then we get into our normal pregame stuff, and it's a special time. Probably half of our dads remember dressing in that dressing room themselves. It really brings a family orientation into it. We try to build the culture of we're a family. It's kind of sounds a little sappy, but we tell our kids we love them all the time, before the game, after the game. The freshmen kind of look at you a little bit the first time you say it, but after that, they start to understand that there's different types of love, and they understand the love that we're trying to put on them. And, one of the big things when I decided to switch over from parents' night to doing this mom's night and dad's night was, just like in any community, you've got kids who have, separated homes, parents that have passed away, just different situations that when you're walking out onto a field, like most teams do parents' night, the son of, and then parents can't come out, for different reasons, or they've passed away or something, you get the mindset, and the kids kind of lose a little bit of their moxie or whatever it might be, because now they're focused on something else. And this is a way that we were able to pull our dads into the event, and like I said, give them a behind the look scene of what we're doing here with their young men.
It was just really impressive. I tried to paint the picture of what it was like in the classroom when you're going over the game plan, and then in the locker room, which is just incredible. And then after that, everybody goes outside, on Dad's night, the dads join the players in a great tradition, walking from the school to the field, which I think is about 5 blocks. I was in my car ahead of the pack, pulling over and shooting pictures, trying not to distract everybody. But talk about that. That's really a neat tradition.
Yeah, when I took over as head coach, I've been the coach here since 2010, so it's been a while, and still don't quite have a 500 record, but we're working on it. The first few years I took over were pretty thin, but we're getting close. Maybe at the end of this year we'll get back to that 500 mark, but beside the point, I guess. Our walk, when I took over, we started walking to the field, where before they'd have a bus take the guys to the field, and I go, it's one of those things, we march into battle. And it's honestly a good thing for us to get loose, instead of just getting off a bus and doing things. So we walk from the school over a block, and then, like you said, it's 5 blocks basically straight up to our game field, which doubles as our baseball field. And I told the captains every year that are in the front with me, I've never had to stop at Main Street. Small town stuff, nobody's coming through town and stuff like that either. But
yeah, there's no police escort. There's none. Yeah, you're just walking.
Yeah, and the guys all go single file, and it's seniors down to freshmen. But Dad's night's special. They line up beside me. My dad passed away a few years ago, and it got emotional when I get in there, and I still get emotional when I talk to the dads or I see the players in. And since my dad's passed away, my godfather has actually come to every event since then. And then my mom got remarried, and my stepdads end up coming to every one of our dad's night too. So it's just showing kids that family orientation, just the different looks of what that dad can mean. We've got guys that come in that are uncles, brothers, grandpas, whatever it might be, just that male role model that are in their life. So it's not strictly a dad's thing, but yeah. And then we have a couple extra guys that come in just in case someone can't show up, last minute. And we had one of our dads drove up from Iowa. He was down for a farm show. He said he drove up 6 hours one way for the game and was heading right back down afterwards. So yeah, they like it. They put a little extra time into it too. So it's a special night. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was really fun. And I was really happy. I got to meet Tim, your godfather, your mom, and your stepdad, chatted with everybody. Just a great group of people. And from beginning to end, it was fabulous. But maybe the neatest thing I saw were these 2 ninth graders, and you told me about them earlier this fall, Damon and Landon, and I wrote about those 2. Why don't you talk about what's happening there?
Yeah, so we had a special needs student that came out, and the players all know him well. Like you said, we're a K-12 building, so everybody in the building knows everyone, and I'd like to think we're got a special, maybe not unique, because I think it happens other places too, but our kids get along well with each other. They're very respectful of everyone, inclusive and stuff like that. But Landon is a kid that he needs a little bit extra guidance to get to the right place, line up in the right spot. And Damon actually kind of took that role over, and he's one of those kids that he's encouraging them when we're going to go on runs and when we're going to get in the right spot. Our first game of the year this year, we were able to actually get landed. And I talked to the coach before the fourth quarter. Hey, we've got a kid. We'd like to get him in. We're not sure what's going to happen. We didn't know if he made contact with a kid, how that would go. He's not physical by any means. So just kind of if he'd shy away or what. And here we send Damon out with him. And we put them both at receivers and twins on the same side. And Damon's over there getting landed in the right spot. Tell him to, okay, you got to stay right here now. Don't move. And then he'd move over his, 3-4 yards to get into his spot. And it just really that special bond that they've built. And like I said, our whole team has been great with him and inclusive with him. But, Damon really has gone above and beyond with just the care and the inclusiveness, that he's shown to Landon. So just a real special kid.
Yeah, and Damon is all of 5'2" and 91 pounds. And
yeah, and I
Landon's
might
not
have
much bigger. What?
I might have stretched that 91 because I didn't think 80 something looked good on the roster. But
well, when I looked at Damon and when I talked to these two, I thought 91 pounds sounded about right. And Landon's not much. He's 5'4". He's 126, so he towers over Damon. But what a neat deal that is. And just to be on the sideline as your starters are out of the game, your big kids, and you got some big kids, encouraging and cheering for these guys and having water bottles ready for them. It was really neat, and this, and everybody should know this. High school activities, it goes way beyond the sports and the skills. It's lessons for life. And that's what I saw there. And I bet you learned some things in your own high school days. You're from Verndale. You played for Mike Malin, who's only in his 56th year. He's the winningest coach in Minnesota football history. What kind of an influence was Mike Malin on you, Chad?
Well, that could be a whole 2-hour session if you really want to. The great thing with Mike is he actually coached all of my uncles, my dad, and stuff like that. And so he'd been, like you said, been around there for quite a while. And I was lucky enough to play quarterback for him. And so I think, any coach is going to say they've probably got a little bit more of a relationship with their quarterback than they do with some of the other players, just because, they're the one coming in, calling the plays in the huddle. You're the one relaying a lot of stuff to them that you're hoping to get in. So there's a lot of things, learning the discipline, how a practice functions. Some of the biggest things I look at with Malin was not knowing some of the things right away that he did for me, even well after I graduated, that really has a huge impact on what I try to do now with my players. I know when I got my first teaching job, he actually, reached out and told this might be a guy you want to get on your staff. And I had no idea until well after the fact. And it's just those little things that if you see Mike on the sideline, he's intense as ever. And you don't necessarily see that side of him until you get a chance to get behind the curtains, if you will, and see that he's putting the best of his kids in front of him and just doing all those extra little things. So again, that's what I've really tried to do with my kids. I know when I started coaching down here in Hancock, we were 0-1 for quite a while. And, finally, after I think it was 6 or 7 years, we finally got a chance to get back at them. And I finally got my first win against Verndale there in Verndale, which was special, to me and stuff like that. It was an emotional win just back in my hometown. But, even through those rough times and, that we had when we were first starting getting our program back going again, the encouragement, hey, you're doing things the right way, you'll get there and stuff like that. And sure enough, here we are. And, just that mentorship, whether it's been direct or indirect, has just been incredible.
He's one of my favorite guys, and he can be, if you don't know him, he looks kind of gruff, but he's a softy in the middle. I've seen that from him a few times, but yeah, he's dedicated to the game and the kids, and hopefully he's there forever. Hopefully he might outlive all of us. So that's awesome.
The joke was he was going to retire after I graduated, and that was a few years ago. So I don't know.
Okay.
I
keep
figured
the kids thinking that. keep the pressure
Yeah, and I
on the
mean, then
kids. Hey, he might retire. We got to have a great year.
yeah, he bookended me with state championship. So they won before I was a freshman, and they won after I graduated. So I think we found the problem, but
We fixed that. Yeah. I'll let you go in a minute here, Chad. But while we got you, I want to mention some other high school football items. Congrats to everybody in War Road. They are wrapping up the installation of a brand new artificial turf football field. In that kind of climate, that's going to pay off in the spring too, with spring sports getting out on that turf. And we all know the Vikings defeated the 49ers last week. The day before the game, the 49ers had a walkthrough at Apple Valley High School. I don't know what the connection was, but they had a walkthrough. The Apple Valley AD tweeted out some photos. The Niners also made a donation to the Apple Valley Athletic Department, which is helping lower fees for student athletes. That's really cool to see from a visiting NFL team. So, Chad, you're at home again. It's homecoming. Ashby, Brandon, Evansville. That's the opponent, correct?
yep, that's correct.
So give us the Dad's Night scouting report. What's going to happen?
Well, without giving too much away too early, I guess, right?
Right.
They're a team that last year is their first year as a co-op, and it actually bumped them out of 9-player football for playoffs into 11-player into Class A. So,
Mr. Steiner, please come to the front lobby.
Oh,
Mr. Steiner.
we can hear the announcements behind you.
I figured we'd wait for
That's
that
awesome.
to clear off. So anyway, they've got a thing they're trying to bring two schools together as far as getting some of the connectivity between the kids and knowing how each other's going to play. But they've got some big kids. They're very athletic. They're starting to run a very similar offense to ours, which has made practice, easier and harder because they do some different things out of it with the different types of athletes that they have. We're hoping. Last year we played them. It was our first game that we played without our quarterback, where he broke his hand the week before, and we struggled moving the ball. Defensively, we played well, but they shut us out, and that's kind of the big thing now is, we've got our quarterback back, and hopefully we can take care of some stuff in the passing game where before last year they were able to stack the box up and keep even contained for the most part, and hoping that we can let Chase run a little wild this week and keep the passing game going so they soften up a little bit and see what we go from there.
Yeah, let's talk about Chase Evink for a minute here. He's going to go to North Dakota State. This kid's an athlete, football, basketball, baseball, I think. 6'6", 246. There aren't many kids like that, especially at small schools.
Yeah, it's hard to recruit size,
Yeah.
We've been blessed where we've had some pretty decent athletes here the last few years and stuff too. But, Chase is one of those special kids. We actually pulled him up to varsity his 8th grade year just because his size and stuff, he wasn't going to get better at playing junior high ball and the kids around him weren't. So we brought him up for JV, ended up playing him his 8th grade year in varsity. So this is his 5th season now for us playing varsity football. And he's a special kid. You look at him at 6'6", 246, like you said, but he runs with power. He also runs with speed. He's fairly agile for a big guy, especially in the 9-man level where you don't see a whole lot of those kids. And not afraid to putting his foot in the ground and either going through someone or putting the burners on and going after or, getting away from them. But on the defensive side too, where, we've been blessed, he reads well. He gets downhill, he's when he gets to the quarterback, the running back, whatever it might be, there's an impact, and you knew it was him that made contact. So very special player for us, and hoping he has a great, year and season and career after here up at NDSU, and then who knows what happens with him.
Yeah, I enjoyed chatting with Chase after the game, and you talk about all his skills with the ball in his hand. He had a 66-yard touchdown run. That was a mix of all of that. He stiff-armed a kid. He juked a kid. He ran over a couple of kids. He outran everybody on one carry. That real boy, I haven't seen many plays like that. He's really something. So you're having a good year. Keep it going. I can't thank you enough, Chad, for all the hospitality when I was in town, and for spending time with Jim and I on the podcast today. Keep doing what you're doing, my friend. We're going to let you go.
Hey, appreciate the time, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Chad. Best of luck.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Well, John, 300th show.
Yes, sir.
We get to start off with a really cool guest. I love the way he talks about his
Yeah.
kids, and I love the story you wrote about it. And everybody can find John's story about Hancock and all of the other things he writes about at John's Journal at mshsl.org. And as I always say, this is the 300th show of John's. What's the phrase I use? Oh, your spoken word artistry here.
Spoken SWA.
Yes. SWA, spoken word artistry here at talknorth.com. If you're new to talknorth.com, we have the best sports lineup in town. We have John. We have former Vikings general manager Jeff Diamond, Michael Russo and Anthony LaPanta on the Wild, Kevin Gorg on hockey at large, Mike Grimm on the Gophers, Randy Shaver on high school football, myself, Lavelle E. Neal III and Roy Smalley on baseball, John Krasinski on basketball, the Viking Update Show, Dawn Mitchell Show, Gopher soccer coach Aaron Chastain was our guest this week, plus outdoor content. Check it all out. The best way to listen is to subscribe at your favorite podcast app to any show you like. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. For this show, we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio, and we want to thank Pizza Barn in Princeton. And let's go ahead and thank Pizza Barn in Princeton and our friend Jody Stay, the owner-proprietor.
You bet, Jim. We love the Pizza Barn. Jody's great. The September pizza of the month is the Buffalo Chicken Mac and Cheese. It starts with the Pizza Barn's famous house-made crust. They throw on buffalo mac and cheese, braised chicken thigh chunks, and their own freshly shredded cheddar and mozzarella. And then after it's baked in those Pizza Barn ovens, they add their house-made croutons, a drizzle of buffalo sauce. You can add bacon. You can add blue cheese crumbles. You can add both of those. It's phenomenal. And the famous Pizza Barn food trucks, you'll see them at a couple of places. Friday night, they'll be at John Harvey Field in Princeton, where the unbeaten Princeton Tigers football team will host Zimmerman. Those are neighboring towns. That's going to be fun. And on Saturday at ERX Motor Park, just up the road from Princeton, an event called Day of the Dozers. I did some minor research about Day of the Dozers. This is a family-friendly event that allows families to experience heavy equipment up close, including bulldozers. And they'll also be learning about the construction industry. And proceeds from this event go to Children's Minnesota. So if you're in that part of the state, Saturday, ERX Motor Park, hit Day of the Dozers, get some great pizza from the food truck. And that sounds great. I think the weather's looking wonderful. And thanks again to our friend Jody Stay and everybody on the crew at the Pizza Barn. They'll take great care of you. You'll have a great meal in a very friendly and comfortable setting, the Pizza Barn in downtown Princeton.
Excellent. Thanks to Jody. And thanks to John for doing all these shows. What else do you have going on this week? I know you're always on the road this time of the year.
More road trips, Jim.
Yeah.
We're talking here early Thursday afternoon. Friday, I'm heading up north to Deer River. If you don't know where Deer River is, I'll be driving up 35 to Cloquet. Then you take the Iron Range exit. You go to Grand Rapids, and it's a little bit west of Grand Rapids. This is a big football game. This is the Deer River Warriors' 100th year of high school football. They're going to host Mille Lacs. I'm really looking forward to that. It's one of those places I've never been in all my years covering high school sports in Minnesota. So I'm looking forward to Deer River. I know I'm going to be on a halftime radio show up there. They've already contacted me. And if all goes well, on Saturday morning, I'm going to stay in Grand Rapids Friday night. On Saturday morning, I'm hoping to go to Grand Rapids High School for their 11th annual Victory Day, which is just phenomenal. I've been there, I think, twice before. Basically, special needs kids from all over the Grand Rapids area are invited to come. They put on a jersey. They go through drills with the varsity football players. When I've been there in the past, the cheerleaders were there. The marching band was there. They got the PA announcer calling the plays and everybody going nuts. This is a great thing, Victory Day. They do it in Grand Rapids. They do it in Farmington. I've been there a couple times. So Deer River Friday night, Grand Rapids High School Saturday morning. That's my plan this week. Going to be heading up north again, not quite that part of the state, but next week I'll be in Sauk Center for a couple of days. I'll head up there on Tuesday. I'm going to watch a cross-country meet in Paynesville in the afternoon, a volleyball match in Sauk Center between the Main Streeters and West Central area Tuesday night. I'll spend the night there. Then on Wednesday, I've been invited to speak at a student leadership gathering of all the schools in the West Central Conference. So I've got a presentation I'm putting together to talk to those kids. I'm excited about that. And then back to my football calendar, I've got the next couple of weeks mapped out. September 27th, I'll be down in Byron, outside of Rochester for their homecoming game against Holy Family. On October 4th, I think I'm going to be at New London Spicer. They'll play Glencoe Silver Lake, and it's called their Fallen Heroes Night. It's a military-themed night to honor people who have lost their lives in service of our country. And right now, it's kind of tentative, but week 7 of the football season, my plan, not set in stone yet, is to head down south to Harmony, Minnesota, to watch Fillmore Central host Wabasha Kellogg. That'll be fun. And one sad football note, Tim Kirk, he's been the head football coach at Mountain Lake for 21 years, has been diagnosed with stage 4 bladder cancer. And people down there in southwest Minnesota, they're wrapping their arms around Tim and his family. They're springing into action. One example is the volleyball team at Red Rock Central. They had a pink out, which is a cancer-themed match scheduled against Westbrook Walnut Grove in early October. They've changed the theme to gallbladder cancer awareness. They've designed shirts with the hashtag Team Kirk on it and the words "Nobody fights alone." I'm hoping to be there for that volleyball match in October. Not guaranteed yet, but we're all thinking about Tim Kirk and Mountain Lake and wishing the best.
Oh, yes. Thanks for telling us about him. All right. Let's do one more segment today. Once again, congratulations, John, for 300 shows. And thanks, John, for doing 300 shows for TalkNorth.com. Who's your most valuable teammate this year?
This is pretty good, Jim. This is the award from the Minnesota State High School League honoring a great teammate. Josie Getty is a junior volleyball player at Dassel Cokato. She's a great teammate. She's focused on enhancing the team culture across all levels from youth to varsity. She works hard to improve her skills. She's always asking what she can do for the team. Josie has a great vision for volleyball and is always using this to help her teammates. Congratulations to Josie Getty of Dassel Cokato for being named a most valuable teammate.
Great stuff, John. Thanks for bringing Chad on the show. Great to hear from him. Great to work with you all these years, and it has been years now. And once again, thanks to Pizza Barn in Princeton. Thanks to Aquarius Home Services for making the show possible. And we'll talk to you next week.
You got it.